And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Writer's Workshop. This is a
Hi.
writing book club where we talk about books. And I'm going to allow my lovely co hosts to introduce themselves. We'll start with Carrow and work our way around.
Hello, my name is Carrow Brown, also writing under Faye Black. I is actually the one that bullied everybody to read this book, Seven Figure Fiction by T. Taylor, because at this point Tamara has trained me to say the full book name and everything. And I'm actually really excited to talk about this book and get your guys' thoughts on it. So that's me.
Awesome.
Stop.
See, yes.
My name is CJ Bloyer. I am not in picture because it makes my computer run slower and makes the delay worse. Stop.
Okay then. I'm Sky. It's been a while since I've
Hey,
been
it
here.
works.
Happy to be back.
Amber, would you like to introduce yourself?
I was waiting to see if it was done yet or not. I'm Amber Craft. I write paranormal romance. I also haven't been here for a little while because schedule. I work every other Saturday, so there's some months I won't be here. But yeah, I really have enjoyed this book, so I can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome. And just in case y'all missed it, when Carol let you know, the book that we are looking at is Seven Figure Fiction: How to Use Universal Fantasy to Sell Your Books to Anyone by T. Taylor. And I wonder why I went to the bottom. Anyway, so that is what we are talking about today. And if you are interested in picking up a copy, there's a link in the description, as well as links to all these lovely ladies so you can find them on the interwebs. So, folks, in the comments, let us know if you read it, and we'll do a quick hello to Mama Ward and Benu Bright. Hello, hello. And all right, so ladies, when I first started reading the book, I was a little confused because at first I thought that she was just kind of talking about tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have that same kind of confusion as I did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she did kind of start off talking about that, but then as the book progressed onward, she talked a lot more about reader reaction to tropes and why some tropes do well and some are. What I thought was really interesting, and we can talk about it right now if you want, or put it off until later. But what I thought was interesting was her observation that the people that were very vocal against certain tropes were actually very badly ratioed against the people that really liked them. So you had maybe 5% people saying this trope sucks, stop writing it, and 95% people being give me more, nom 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 nom. So
yeah, and I'm sure that would be totally dependent on your audience or your genre. Maybe we should all tell everyone what genres we write, because the book, she focuses mainly on romance because that's where she's coming from, and I write cozy mysteries and I also write erotic romance. So, but I could still see how I could apply what she taught to cozy mysteries. So, do you guys want to?
Yeah. So under Carrow Brown, I usually write urban or epic fantasy, and then under Faye Black, I write my romance and spicy stuff. And you're absolutely right. I was able to take a look at this and be I could actually take some of these elements and kind of sprinkle it in as that kind of little additional layer, especially with the Carrow Brown stuff, because that's not steamy at all. We got some hand holding, maybe one kiss, that's it. Where Faye Black is just kind of the whole
brown chicken, brown cow.
Yeah. So I mean, universal fantasy is basically kind of applying those aspects. although I do want to kind of caveat that with saying like some of the things that she said, people really like this. And more serious fiction, like that usually makes like some like BookTube people like kind of like start throwing pitchforks and shit. So.
CJ?
The first thing I have to say about this is that like I laughed out loud repeatedly. Not in a bad way. Like she has an excellent voice, and at one point she talked about chicken bear romances and like the niche audience of chicken bear. I laughed at that. I had to stop reading. I was laughing so hard. And she makes all these little asides, and she has some random footnotes. And secondly, I'm absolutely certain that this woman, no offense to my actual BFF, Sarah, but this woman would be my BFF because we both hate to drive. Like, first impressions were really awesome, and I loved the read. As someone who has not been published, this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to using it as I continue to write.
I do like her quips in there too. Oh, sorry. I do like her quips that she's got in there, because she had like one phrase in there that was the one that made me laugh, where she was kind of like, yeah, and I've had people come out and make blog posts about how much they hate their book, and if you're reading this, hey, thanks for the free marketing. And I was like, oh man, this girl got sass.
Yeah. I do want to read some of her fiction now.
Yeah,
I absolutely do.
Oh, yes.
She kept referencing Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and I was like, okay, I got to read this and see, what she's talking about. My due diligence. I read every fucking book, and they were all good.
Really?
Yeah, I liked them all. And I mean, so I'm about to use a word on your channel, but she's got like one trope saying like the magical pea will fix him kind of thing. And at first I was like, sometimes I hate that trope, but like in the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, I'm like, oh my God, it's working.
I'm glad you liked them all, because I was like, I wrote them down to read them, and I'm like, last night I was looking for them, but I don't know.
Yeah, and they get better from start to finish as well. Like it starts with pestilence, ends with death, and I was just like, at one point, like that one gif with like the baby, like that was me.
Well, because Alexis Chamberlain, who I did a podcast interview for, she writes about the Four Horsemen, but they're all women, and so like now I'm wanting to read that and kind of compare hers to theirs, because I loved her books, and be like, okay, here's Women Apocalypse, here's Men Apocalypse, like.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. So, Sky, you write paranormal romance, and you also write urban fantasy, don't you?
Yeah. And eventually I'll get back into fantasy, not epic fantasy. I'm not good enough for that ever, but fantasy romance I could do.
Did you feel like you'd be able to apply like her lessons to all the genres that you write?
If nothing else, she pointed out a lot of things, like, you know how when you read or watch something and you start noticing the patterns of like there's connections of similarities between everything you read and watch, and you're like, oh, I didn't realize this was my thing. I didn't realize this was my kink, and I'm like, oh crap. I had that realization. And it was a little bad. I was like,
a little self-discovery never hurt nobody.
So, but as far as my own writing goes, yeah, I think so. But at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to do some of the stuff she was talking about? Because I'm like, I hate that and that and that, and I really hate that. I don't want to write any of this.
Well, I mean, she's got like a list of like possible, suggestions that you can do, and then she's like, and then even at the end of it, she's like, go ahead and like make your own if that's what you need to do. But what I thought was really interesting. Two things. One, in the back of the book, she's got a quick reference for all of the beats in certain popular shows. you know, and how what like the tropes she's talking about, like how those apply in there, like Grey Anatomy, like, you know, one night stand that is the one, and Beauty and the Beast, banging the beast, hee and all that. But she's also got kind of like a little, not a worksheet, but like a template of things that you can do to kind of like work on your character. And one of the questions I really liked on there was like, how does love fix their problem, right? Because every time I write romance, and I think that's always been my hiccup, is like I don't want love to fix the problem, but like it's romance, love is supposed to fix the problem, right? So it was like that was kind of like a nice like hook back into, you know, the whole point of romance. So
I've actually been combining some of the lessons from Seven Figure Fiction with one I just finished this morning.
Oh,
Again.
that's a good one. I love that book.
I've read this, but rereading it, I was like, how long ago did I read this? Because I don't remember any of this. But there's a lot of similarities between what the two describe. Yeah. And being able to mesh the lessons together is very helpful, honestly. Yeah. And like I just went back and rewrote my entire outline for my book this morning, going, oh, that's how that works.
I was really excited when she was talking about like how to apply this to like ads.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
yeah.
So this is how I can write stuff to get people's attention and to get them interested by telling them these things. That's something I struggle with, and I'll end up just being like, hey, so do you want to read a book about a chick doing some cool stuff? Here's this book. Like,
yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, I can draw these things out without giving away what the story is about, but it'll hook people in.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah, I get like major kudos to her too, because she runs everything. Like outside of like giving it to an editor, like she does all the marketing, she does the promos, she does the covers. Yeah, one woman show right there. Like, you know, major salute.
Yeah, she's a 6-figure badass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I wonder why.
Yeah,
seems to have her act together.
I don't know how she finds time in the day to do it all. And still write.
Oh, she wrote about that. She wrote about that. She wrote her entire schedule in the book, right down to the fact that she doesn't try to write on Friday because her favorite show's on.
Which
I know,
like,
but I mean, even looking
have
at
time
that,
to do the favorite show.
She gets up at 4 a.m. and I'm looking at the going, okay, I just started getting up at 5 a.m. this week because I want to get shit done before I go to work because I'm not going to get done when I get home. And I'm dying. I'm like, I don't want to get up at 4 a.m. to do this.
Well, she's got kids too.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Like, she's got 3 kids. I've only got 1. She gets up at 4. I get up at 4 during the school year. Like, I'm sitting here looking at her schedule and mine and going, how the hell does she get all this done? And I get none of it. Like, I realize she's at home and I'm at work, but like...
Motivation.
I don't know. She's very, very good with time management.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she's like a stickler to her schedule. Like, this is her schedule. Well, probably.
Yeah. And
that appeals to your nature.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, especially during the school year, Kira and I are strict routine. Like, we work, if we're a minute off our routine, we're like frantic trying to catch up. But I mean, and that's the thing, like, I write paranormal romance for now, that's all. But like, I could see with the series that I've kind of got boiling in my rabbit garden, like, where it would work. And now that I know that, like, because the hero and the heroine's journey kind of opened my eyes to watching a movie or reading a book, noticing the plots versus just reading it as a reader. Like, I can't stop myself now going, haha. But so when you threw the romancing the beat and then this in, now I'm afraid to watch anything after today because I'm just going to be like, there's that and there's that and okay, stop that and put it to my own shit. So add that to her helping me with the ads, and I might actually get a book sold, once a month versus once every 6. So
I absolutely feel like with us doing Writer's Workshop, I don't read as a reader anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
I read as a writer.
I'm glad I'm
I
not
have-
the only one now.
I have to do audiobooks primarily for that reason, because I've literally, like, there was one book, it was really bad, where I tried to actually like read it, and like I reached over for my pen to start editing it. Yeah. And yeah, so I kind of switched to audiobooks because then it's like somebody's talking to me, so I don't really have like writer brain on, I have like reader brain. So
Yeah.
so that helps me out a little bit. But in defense of, traditionally, paperbacks and stuff like that, that book I read was actually really bad. Like first page had 2 typos and like some other string. Yeah, it was so bad. And it catfished me, yo. It catfished me. That cover was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. I had high expectations, major letdown.
Oh, that's
I hate it when a
so
book's like that.
sad.
Yeah. So
God, I hope no one ever says that about any of my books, please.
we would let you know before it got out.
Yeah,
Right.
I would have an intervention with you. Be like, hey, I know you're thinking about it, but don't.
Thank you. I
I see
appreciate
where
it.
you were trying to go with this book, but no.
But you
Stop.
didn't get there.
Back up. Back up.
Back it up. Back it up. Back it up.
Oh my goodness. I feel like we all have like definitely enjoyed this book.
Yeah.
And
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
and like you could feel the energy. Like we
Yes.
liked it so much that we're all like bubbly and giggly and we're
Yeah.
enjoying ourselves and cracking wise. So
Oh my
unlike
god.
the one time when we read that one book.
That
Yeah.
one book.
That
That's
one-
the other thing I was thinking about, because I was thinking about that one book and I was like, one of the things
Wait.
I really appreciate, and we've said this about other books, but I cannot emphasize it enough. But she was very clear that her recommendations are just that. They're recommendations, they're not prescriptions. And she's very clear about that. And I appreciate that so much, because yeah, that's just such a huge thing for me.
I just felt like her
Stop.
honesty was refreshing because, she's like, I'm writing this because basically I can't go to all these conferences that are asking me to come. Like, that's the sole purpose of this book. But if I can't say yes to everything, then hopefully this book will reach more people. Like, here's what surprised me and here's what I found out. Here you go.
What's really funny is, so like Lisa Daly worked with Miss Taylor on making this book, right? And actually went to one of the conferences that T. Taylor went to, and at the actual panel to talk about this book, it got flooded, and Lisa was there, and she's like, "Oh, maybe this is a big deal."
Lisa was really disappointed that she couldn't be here today.
Oh,
Yeah.
we could have asked her all the nitty gritty dirt, like what's she like?
I know, man. I was like really hoping that Lisa would be able to come, but
I know you're not near your computer, but can you FaceTime us on the phone?
I was this close to being like, can you just like, I don't know, sneak away for an hour? And I was like, no, she's going on vacation.
We all
Can't do
deserve
that,
one,
people.
but why now?
So yeah, I was like, oh man, I know she's got the goods.
She got all the good. So
I will say.
guess, oh,
Sorry.
go on.
We were talking about, the first thing Tamara to ask about the tropes, feeling like it was talking about tropes at first. I like the way she broke it down between, like, think about, the story as a body and tropes are the brain. And then here's the universal fantasy. Like, she made it easier in the beginning to understand the difference, so that when she broke it down and said, here's the trope, here's the fantasy, it was clear in your brain versus having to do a mental switch and learn something new.
Yeah, she dived into the psychology of that really well, which obviously I'm very fond of. But what I really liked, because we always, like, okay, so like the 5% of people screaming, I hate this, stop doing it, against the 95%. One of the things that she pointed out that was kind of like my eye-opening moment in this book was when she said, in a lot of romances, the woman gets abducted or taken away from her normal life, which, in the hero's journey, leave normal life, go into adventure kind of thing. But she said that a lot of women who are stuck at home, raising kids, doing house chores and stuff like that, they want to be taken from their daily life and thrown into something exciting. And that's why that's why it's their jam, right? That's why they want to read those things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like, of course, like, I don't know if Tamara was there or not, but like, I was reading the book and I was like, oh, God damn it. She's effing right.
Mm-hmm.
like I really hadn't thought about it that way.
As a mom who's been in that kitchen in her scenario, yes, very much.
Yeah.
Take me away to your palace and pamper me, and I'll pretend to complain the entire time.
Right.
There's a meme that's going around right now talking about like like one of those conversational memes, and the piece is like, "I'm gonna take you away to somewhere," and the other person responds like, "You got books, free food? Heck yeah, I'm coming!" I was like, "I would totally do it."
Yes.
Relatable.
You take care of my every need with servants that are happy to serve me. Oh, hell yeah, let's go.
Exactly.
And that's one of the tropes too. Servants that are happy to serve. And I was like, why is that a trope? I didn't know.
Well, I guess it's better than servants who hate doing it, right?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
But don't you think that that's like in terms of how it impacts us, especially particularly for women who have children and are the primary caregiver, but I think this is true for anybody, is that our normal life includes a lot of service. We serve our children, we serve our bosses, we serve our communities. This is what's expected of us. And while we are most of the time happy to do it, we love our children, we love our spouses, we may like our bosses or tolerate them, or maybe we just like our job. But there's something to be said about that fantasy of being taken away and being given not just like people to wait on you, but people who are excited to wait on you, people who want you to be happy, whose lives are invested in your happiness. And I think that's a deep aspect of that universal fantasy, is that desire. Now, most of us would get bored after, I don't know, for some of us, it might be a few days. For some of us, it might be a few weeks. Some of us might be okay with it for years before we're like, you know what, I'm good. But for the most part, like, that's why we go on vacation, right? That's why people go to all-inclusive resorts. That's why people, try to get away from their lives, is that moment of having someone else take care of. Like, when she talks about people who will drive you everywhere, I want you to know one of my longtime desires is to make enough money to purchase a Duesenberg, which is a very, very old antique car, and have a chauffeur. Because I'm of the opinion that having a chauffeur without like a super cool car is just a little silly. But a Duesenberg is an amazing car. It's brilliant and ridiculous looking, and they were built in like the early 1900s. But like, I feel that the desire for somebody else to drive. I don't do a lot of driving because I work from home, but I have to do some, and I hate driving. Every time we go somewhere, my sister's like, "So I'm driving, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's how that works." And so to have
This is a picture of the Duesenberg, by the way.
Yes.
The usual. Oh my God, yes. The classic English driver.
You need a chauffeur to drive that. Yes. So this idea that this fantasy that we have, that we all have deep inside of us, is to have somebody who is delighted. And she talks about that in the, as she talks about some of the tropes, is the beast who is all controlling. They take care of everything. In our normal lives, it's not necessarily something. I'm too much of a control freak to want that in my real life. But the idea to escape into that world for a little bit, that hits some buttons for me.
I know.
Stop.
Oh, I made the rule and I don't even follow it. I know, because yeah, absolutely. She was talking about a lot of the things that we kind of secretly want, but we don't want to verbally say it. And on that note, she like opened my eyes to like a couple of like romance tropes that I like. You know, I read a lot, but like I wasn't fully aware that these were, you know, what they were. And she talked in particular about like the boss hole trope, and I was like, what is that? Right? I was like, and so I immediately had to go look up like boss hole tropes and like try and find a book to read so that way I could like educate myself on it. And 4 books later of a series, like I am thoroughly educated. And I found out that I happen to like that trope a lot. So, but I was really happy that she kind of like dived into like all of like these secret fantasies and stuff. So, you know, because obviously my reading list got up because I read the Apocalypse, I read like Wolf Hotel and like 2 other book series and stuff like that. And she's got such good recommendations too in this book. Like so far, all the ones that she's like, you should read this. I was like, I haven't been disappointed. They've all been good quality. Like they're not cheap. Put them out to make a buck books. Like there's substance in them. So.
Even the ones she uses as examples for things are really good and well done books. The couple I have already read.
Yeah. I like that she gave, okay, so I don't think that we made this clear. So what she was doing is talking about universal fantasies or UFs. And these are the hooks that really get readers to want to finish your book and then go to the next one. Like it's what draws them in. And she gave examples from everywhere from like Grey's Anatomy to Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Like all kinds of different examples of the universal fantasies that are in each one of them. And then she, like, as someone mentioned earlier, she had a breakdown of those at the back of the book as a quick reference point. Because I'm not sure if we like made that clear.
No, we got super excited.
Yeah, like we totally blew past like, and this is what the book's about.
Whoops. It's really not important. It's lovely and we enjoyed it. You should too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Patricia, I think we definitely give it the all clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think this is my second time reading it, actually. Because I read it earlier this year and then this month again for this stream.
I read it every time I write a romance book. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, so this is how I make, like, my outlines right now. And so every time, if there's a romance thing, it's Romancing the Beat in this book immediately out for me to, like, look at and help me draw some stuff. But since we're talking about, like, universal fantasy, she refers to it as butter, right?
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why there's butter on there. So she's like, butter up your story, right? But one thing that I thought we could have a fun chat about, because it had just fluttered into my brain, was she also talked about universal ghee, right? Like the stuff that goes into the book that appeals to people that we didn't know, right? So, and not to talk about myself, but in my one book, Queen of Swords and Silence, I have a disabled veteran in there with like, you know, a prosthetic leg, right? And I didn't think that was going to appeal to anybody, but I actually do get occasional correspondence from somebody saying, hey, thanks for representing that people with prosthetic legs, you know, can't actually do shit.
Yeah.
So.
It's hard to find disability representation.
Yes.
But circling back to like the ghee idea of like, you know, appealing to things that you know, that aren't typically discussed. I use disability as that example, but maybe you guys have a different one.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was somehow like the neurodivergent. She didn't even realize like that would be something people would think about or whatever when she wrote that particular book, and she got overwhelming response. So you never know.
I just read a book yesterday, actually, that does that, and I didn't realize that I needed that in my life. The main character is one of those boss holes, and he has panic attacks. And I was like, oh, I love this. This is my favorite book ever right now. Wasn't the best book in the world, but I love that it had that representation. And I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I felt when I've had panic attacks myself. Yeah. And it comes back to that for some people, it comes back to seeing yourself represented as a character. versus like just what's normal, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And that's exactly what the Ghee is. At least that was my interpretation of the Ghee.
Well, and I like that it's different from, like with tropes, they've all been done over and over. I feel like kind of within those tropes, the way people get over it or express certain types of people are the same as well. Most boss holes are, they're, what's the word? Their kryptonite is their feelings, and their vulnerability is usually shown. Oh, I have feelings. Oh no. So for panic attacks or something like that to be shown as their vulnerability, like that not only wakes you up as a writer and goes, hey, this is different, it makes you think differently and outside the box, but also gives you something you may not have even known you needed.
Right.
Yep.
I'm trying to find the one book that I read. I'm trying to remember if this is number one or not. Are you number one? I mean, you're number one in my heart, but okay. So, like, a really good example, not to talk about boss hole romances too much. Like, Tempt Me, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was actually really good. Oh, sorry. This was my research into understanding what a boss hole trope was, and I am thoroughly educated, and I read all of it. So, and the vulnerability that you're talking about is in this too. So, the guy in here is obviously kind of like, it's my way or the highway, like, aggressive Batman type. But what I thought was really interesting in here is that his vulnerability shows up because he's actually colorblind. So he has to have the girl help him figure out if his socks match and stuff. Right?
That's adorable.
I know.
Story totally off topic. A friend of mine in college, she was dating a guy who was colorblind, and he bought a truck. He thought it was blue, but it was purple.
Where did he find a purple truck? I'm just saying.
It was a really pretty purple, but it was purple.
I mean, Macomb County Auction just sold a Barney purple van last night, so they're out there.
Rare and magnificent breed.
We didn't talk too much about the structure of the book. And one thing that I really did appreciate that T. Taylor did is that she would have a chapter, and then at the end she would summarize it in bullet points. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I appreciated that too, because a lot of times I need to have a kind of breakdown, because there was a lot of information packed in these short chapters. Right. Yeah. That was another thing. The chapters are pretty short, and CJ talked about her voice, which was very, it was very friendly. Feels like you're reading something that your friend wrote, and it's really easy to understand and read. So, yeah.
Yeah, she made everything sound doable and not overwhelming. Yeah. Even when she was talking about her outlining, it was very simple, to the point, and didn't overwhelm you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or even nope, now I lost it. I had a thought and then it was gone. Sorry, somebody else go.
I like that she included all the examples, because I definitely am someone who can read the same paragraph 3 or 4 times and it won't click until I either read or see an example of it being done. So especially with her outline and how she made everything work and showed the universal fantasies within the outline itself, I really enjoyed that. And it made it so much easier to comprehend what she was trying to get across.
Yeah.
I keep flipping through mine.
Let's see. There was 3 parts to the book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Also, she narrated her own audiobook, if anybody's interested. And she's a hoot in there too. That
I
That
can
was
only
how-
imagine.
Oh yeah, she's great. And when she gets to the part where she's talking about like her daily routine, like how she does things, she's just kind of like, in the morning I grab my cup of coffee and I grab my tarot card book and I pull the card for the day and then I write until my children wake up. And I'm like, that's dedication. Like,
Yeah, she seems like she has it together.
yeah.
Hashtag goals.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I decided that I wanted to make 50,000 a year, so I did, and then I decided, well, I want to make 7 figures. Because why not?
Yeah, I love that. Because why not?
What?
Like, it's so simple. Why not?
We'll do it then. And she did. So
Yeah, and her origin story for how she got here was actually kind of interesting because she was originally writing and like this editor like tore apart one of her stories except for the sex scene. Yeah, because she wrote about that, and then she was like, well, if I'm really good at writing sex, maybe I should just keep doing that. And that's what she did. So part 1 was how Universal Fantasy secretly changed my life. Part 2 was mine that Universal Fantasy Gold. And then part 3 was the step-by-step action plan for infusing Universal Butter into your writing and marketing. So that's how she's got that broken up.
okay. I'm definitely going to be reading part 3 again. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a bookmark right here, and I'm not going to show it because it's got like a lady pose on it, which is appropriate for this book. But it's literally the part of the book that I use the most. So.
Yeah, I definitely, because I had to stop. Like I said, I had read this book earlier in the month and I couldn't find my notes, so I had to basically reread the whole book last night to take notes. But so I got all the way to the ads and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna have time to write and read. So I finished reading it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this part a whole lot.
Yep.
Yeah, she's got the name of the course. Yeah, she's got the name of the course that she used for author using Amazon ads. So if anybody wants to take that course, she literally gave them a free plugin. I hope they give her like a code or something, affiliate link, something.
Yeah.
She had a lot of plugs in here actually because she talked about Abby. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Amons?
I don't know.
The 3-act story structure, Lisa Cron's story genius. Like she references a lot of stuff that she combines with her own.
Yeah. Even Michelle Schusterman or whatever.
Yeah, she watches AuthorTube. She watches us. She watches AuthorTube. Yeah, because I remember when I got to like Michelle's name, and I immediately stopped everything I was doing and ran to my email. I was like, I just saw your name in this book, and it's so cool.
I hadn't watched that video for Michelle yet, and then I got to that, and I automatically clicked it and watched it. And I was like, yeah.
Wait a second. She does watch AuthorTube. If you end up watching this, if you end up watching this, you're amazing, and if you want to be on the show with us sometime, that would be great.
Can we be your friend? You're so cool.
We want to pick your brain and be your friend. I mean, I was already kind of wondering if she'd watch it because she knows Lisa. So like, then I was like, okay, she watches Michelle too. Okay, she watches a lot of AuthorTube.
Yeah, she's got like a list of channels that she watches. So,
wow. Yeah, just put that together.
You've now seen Tamara have a mini panic attack on screen.
Fantastic. I love that for me.
Take that now.
Oh my goodness. I like that she talked about the book that she had written and became really popular, and she's like, why? Why is this popular?
Right?
Yeah. Over the Super Bowl. She's like, the day the Super like that was great.
It ruined my Super Bowl.
She's like, what happened? Why did people like this so much? Was that the one with the red-haired Viking?
Yeah, the Viking one. Yep. Viking Wolf. My Viking Wolf.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to read that too.
Yeah, that's on my list.
That's
too.
on my to be read list. Yep.
I was absolutely intrigued. I was like, I want to read that. I mean, that sounds pretty cool, actually.
That's her research, I swear.
Yeah, the name is Her Viking Wolf. And I'm here for it all.
Yeah. So do we have any other thoughts?
I have
there was one other thing. Oh, you ask your question and then I'll make my comment.
Okay. We talked about the quick reference section a little bit and how she does say go and make your own. Is anyone actually doing that at the moment? Because I've totally watched like 4 movies that are not in the same genre at all and been making my own quick reference list of Universal fantasies that I enjoy and I want to add to my own stuff. Is anyone else doing that?
A little bit. Like
I haven't yet.
She was really cool and actually like cited some stuff that wasn't like romance related. Like she talked about like how in Expanse, one of my favorite shows that I like to watch, how there's a character named Amos, and Amos fits into the guard dog that will fight and kill for you, right?
Yeah.
And I read that, and the moment I read that, I was like, that's my trope. That's it right there. I want that one. That one's mine. and so like the moment I knew that was my trope, I was kind of like going through like the mental Rolodex, and I was kind of like, yep, every show that I like with that character, that's my thing. I really like that person that will fight and kill for you. So it's the loyalty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I felt what she meant when she said like a Hallmark channel with Christmas and love, and like it's gonna get me every time. It doesn't matter what the story's about.
Yeah.
And that's me, Christmas in July movies from Hallmark. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to watch it. Like, if it's got a prince, like, that's even better. If it's an asshole prince, there's my butter.
I can fix him.
I've known this forever. You're hot and you're rich and you're mean, and I can fix that. But it was, now that I know, and we've had these, I feel like these 3 books put together so well, and I know I'm going to be like, I wrote down all the homework separately, where I usually just will write as I go in my notes. I wrote them all down separately so that I could have them as a reference when I watch a movie to see and point out to myself, okay, this is what she's saying and this is what she meant, and give myself personal examples. So when I'm doing the things, I can be like, okay, because I don't watch Grey's Anatomy, so I know what she's talking about because my mom watched it, but I'm not going to reference that in my head. Whereas books I read all the time, I would.
Yeah.
There's another book club that I'm part of. I'm cheating on you with another book club. I'm sorry. But it's kind of interesting because we'll talk about like the plot and the story, and then it kind of turns into like 10-minute of Carrow time because they'll start asking me like writing craft questions. And there's been a couple of books that I have read, and Mr. Brown is lurking somewhere, and he can testify that I am the worst person to watch TV shows and movies with, because I really do look at it from like a storytelling perspective, and obviously you can't get away from like certain, like, I don't want to call it formulas, but just like the structure of the story, right? Like it's just how stories typically go. And so I'll see something, I'll be like, oh, that's really cool. Like, how are you going to like move around that and stuff like that? And I get really pissed off when it's done like in a like Duke's Machina way, right? Like it's just like, oh my god.
I was watching Good Girls. I'd watched like the first season whenever it came out, and I was like watching it as it came on. I think it was TBS. But last weekend I was watching some with my bestie, and I got so irritated because it wasn't just that people were making bad decisions, but they were making stupid decisions. Like, why, if you are laundering money, why are you hiding it in the bottom of cereal boxes? What are you doing? Why would you do that? Like, your kids eat cereal. Like, people eat cereal. Also, why do you have 7 boxes of cereal? Like, it just didn't make sense.
You don't know my kids.
There's 3 kids and 2 adults. There's 9 boxes of cereal. I counted them this morning while I was trying to find mine.
Oh my
God. 4. I have 4 boxes of cereal that'll last me 2 weeks, and then I'll have to buy 4 more.
But it was family life.
I was just like, come on. Why are you hiding? I mean, if you hid money in your cereal boxes, wouldn't you expect people to find it?
Yeah, it's like when I use money as like my bookmarks. Like when so like that's a bad habit of mine. When we used to have cash in the house, like I'd have like a couple of ones, and be like, I need to mark my spot. What I got, like dollar bill there. And when we moved, I was going through all the books because I knew that I had used money as bookmarks, and I wasn't taking every book. So I was like having to flip through, find the dollar, and put that one book in Goodwill.
That would have been like
Oh,
the
that's
best
fantastic.
for someone buying your book, though. There's
Right?
a bucket here. This is awesome. I love this.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys thought about like her character. It's like when she's talking about like structuring the stories and stuff like that, she's got like that kind of semi worksheet about how to like flesh out your characters. What did you guys think about that?
So this kind of goes along with my what I was going to say earlier, is I liked that. It went well with the one of the other books we've read that I really enjoyed, the conflict motivation or
GMC.
Yeah, goals, conflict, and motivation, or goals, motivation, conflict.
She even mentioned that book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was Carol, when you were talking about this is a book that you go to, this one and Romancing the Beat. I was like, yeah, this is going to be in my staple. I may even end up with a hard copy of it, which I rarely do anymore. But that goals, motivation, conflict, seeing that in a character outline was really helpful for me. Stop.
Everyone's holding their breath. Is she done?
What about everybody else, I guess?
I kind of breezed over that. I'll have to read over it again. But as I wasn't as interested in, I was really going more for like the ad stuff at the end.
Well, and I was kind of so. I mean, I literally got to where I was at chapter 14 that I was at before when I had to reread it. So I glanced at it. I want to try to do it probably next weekend. I want to try to do it with my books and see where I think I am versus where the book shows I am with this, and see, kind of do my own little research on my own books and see, okay, is it just my bad marketing and I've been moving and doing so much crap that nobody knows about the book, or is there things that I've missed that I can make better with the series to come? Since I'm only technically 2 books in published, you know, I'm sitting here editing book 3, writing book 4. Are there things I can change now to make it better, or is it just that I'm horrible at marketing and ads, you know? So I am going to end up buying this book now that I got paid today. I'm going to end up buying it instead of just having it online so I can highlight things and go back and reference like Carrow's saying she does. Because I definitely do that with Romancing the Beat and the Heroine's Journey. So
I don't usually do the character profiles, I guess is what you would call them. But I think if I ever get stuck, or as I'm going back and editing, I might do that just to see if like everything still works, and making sure, double checking that there's no actual plot holes, especially with like a character arc itself, like going from point A to point B. But beyond that, I didn't skip over it, but it didn't stick in my mind as well as some of the other stuff in the rest of the book did.
I guess it stood out to me because I'm a massive outliner, so I was like, hum.
I like that she referenced people who are more like me, who aren't really into outlining. She's like, hey, you can use this too.
Or you could not. Whatever works.
Whatever.
Yeah. My outlining is maybe 4 lines of here's what's the beginning, here's the end, and here's sort of a middle.
I'm going to be... So next month I have 2 Bliss books that I'm going to be writing. They're both novellas and they'll be pretty short. One of them's half done. But I'm going to be referencing this book to figure out if I'm like putting in more than just, super spicy scenes. Like, I want the plot to be decent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be cool to be able to reference this.
Mm-hmm.
I bought this book last September. So again, without this workshop, I probably wouldn't have read it, and it'd still be on my Kindle looking at me with accusations in its eyes. So thank you, friends, for being my accountability book club so that I can actually, read some of these books and learn things.
Yeah. Did we want to, because I know we're almost at the last 10 minutes. So,
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts? Yes.
Let's start with Amber, and we'll work our way up to me.
Well, I mean, I knew when we all started talking about doing this book, Lisa had been with her, and Carrow really recommended it. So I knew it was going to have something in it for me to learn from and make me better as a writer. But between her free plugs and books that I'd never heard of, and even a couple tropes that I didn't think about or don't think about daily, throwing a new way of doing this on top of books we've already done that have made me better. Honestly, like I said, she's gonna get 2 things of money from me: 1 ebook and 1 paperback, because it's definitely one of the 3 that I will reference every book from now on. I could never sell another book, and I'm still gonna reference it and make sure that I'm doing the things that would make it better, to make me a better writer and to sell more books. So definitely 5 stars. I really recommend people getting it. Save your money once and buy it just in paperback so you can reference it forever.
I did the same thing. I bought an ebook because I wasn't certain, and then I went back and bought a paperback. And I don't know why I did that, but I did. I should have just bought the paperback because Kara and Lisa both had already recommended it at that point, and I was like, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah,
and I did. And it's going into like everyone else has said so far, it's going to be one of the books I reference constantly in the future. Definitely.
Yeah, I think I bought it when it first came out or shortly thereafter because somebody had mentioned it. So I had it for a while. I'm like Tamara, I'd had it for a while. I just hadn't got around to reading it until everybody started talking about it. I'm like, wish I'd known then. Could just bought
right.
CJ, final thoughts?
Yeah, so I really just gonna agree with everyone else. Like I said, it was an enjoyable read in addition to being helpful. So even if you don't think you're at the point where you're going to need this, I'm not in a position where I need to be seriously thinking about ads and marketing and stuff, but it is good to think about. And so ahead of time. And so I really appreciate that. One of the things she said was write your blurb before you write your book.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where the universal fantasy can really shine. And I thought, oh, well, okay, I can do that. I have a couple of books that are stewing for Nano. I can do that. That is something I can do as a prep. So overall, yeah, highly recommend this book. And yeah, I'm with Sky and, well, everybody else, and we'll be buying a hard copy as soon as I have discretionary income again.
No.
Stop.
Okay. I followed my own rule. Okay, so I already bought the book in all of its mediums, the audio, Kindle, everything. That's how much I liked it. I want that to be a testimony to how much I thought was useful, that I needed to have it in every form. And we talked a lot about the stuff that stood out to us, but there's more in this book that you could really glean. Everything from marketing to like character concepts to like, you know, appealing stories. Like it's one of probably my top 5 resources that I would recommend to anybody at this point, whether you write romance or not. So my final thought is go buy the book, read it, love it, and add butter to your story. There you go.
Yeah, I feel like we barely skimmed the surface of the things you can learn from it, honestly.
Which is good, because I hate it when I feel like we've told you everything. I don't want you to hear everything from us. I want you to read it and absorb it and like learn from the author. So my 2 cents is that I loved reading this. You know, I was pretty sure that I was going to, because again, Carol was like, let's read it. And Lisa was like, this was such a great book. And I was like, okay, I trust both of you. So let's go. And so I really enjoyed it. I love her voice. She cracked me up, which I like humor with my education. Like I like humor. It like, you know, it makes the medicine go down, right? So I liked how humorous she was. I really liked that she referenced Disney's movies. Like, I wouldn't say that I was a Disney kid. I was more of a Nickelodeon kid, but I absolutely loved like Beauty and the Beast. I am Belle. So when she was referencing Beauty and the Beast, I was like, yes, I feel that. So I absolutely recommend it. I think this is one of those staples. You're going to come back to it. Absolutely. At least I know I am. So with that being said, we should do some outros and let these good people go back to their Saturdays.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll start with you, Miss Carrow.
It's me. Hello. I am Carrow Brown. I also write under the name of Faye Black. I came here to talk about the book that I bullied everybody into reading and mentioned constantly over the last 30 days. I was not disappointed by this workshop. My dreams are fulfilled. Thank you for humoring me. I'm done. Stop.
Thanks for twisting our arm.
Yeah, I cannot say that enough. Like, this is such a good selection. My name is CJ. I'm a writer of things and a private piano instructor. And that's pretty much me. Stop.
She also does live streams on Fridays with Sarah on Wordsmith Sarah. What's her channel's name now?
Wordsmith Sarah.
So you can see her then. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Sky. I write fantasy under the name SD Hegyes and all of the subgenres under that label. And then, I'm definitely going to be using this book in the future to, maybe hopefully write something and publish it that'll start making me some money.
7 figures, baby. Let's go.
Go for it. Let's go. It's nothing. We can do this. 50K. It's nothing.
Come on.
I am Amber Craft. I write paranormal romance. I stream every Sunday on YouTube and every Wednesday over on the Twitch. And starting next week, if you live in the Houston area, I can be your Uber driver. Or Uber Eats, so because I need more freaking money in life to get a house.
I hear you,
dude. Book 1, Unknown Love, is on Audible and paperback, and Unknown Family is just paperback. And hopefully you read them and like they have some sort of unknown universal fantasy in them, because I'm thinking and I can only think of 1 or 2. So, I don't know. That's me. Been a while.
I know. You get out of used to doing this if while I trip over my tongue trying to say words.
It's just me and Jace every Sunday, or me, Jace, Charlie, and Kat. So like everybody knows this. We don't ever introduce ourselves anymore. So I've totally gotten out of the habit.
I I just do it every single time because just in case there's one person who hasn't met me before. Speaking of which, hi person, my name's Tamara Woods. This is my channel where I talk about books and writing. I'm a cozy mystery author. I have, let's see, Wiped Out and Bailed Out are both on sale. Well, they're not on sale, but you can get them for free with Kindle Unlimited. And if you prefer, stuff that's a little spacey, I also write under Bliss Winters, and there's several erotic romances over on the Kindle. There's also a pre-order for The Vampire and His Kitchen Witch, and that will be dropping August 18th. So if you want to pre-order, get into it. It's pretty. It's a hot tamale. If you don't like the spice, do not go see Bliss. Repeat, if you don't like the spice, do not get a Bliss book. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you so much, ladies, for being with me and helping me to actually read books so that I too could become a 7-figure fiction novelist. Thanks to everyone who's watching, whether you're watching right now or you're watching a replay. Without you, we're just some lunatics screaming into the void. And if you'd like to write with me, I'm here on every Thursday at 1 p.m. Most Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. So maybe I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Woohoo!